Call this meeting to order of the Hawarden City Council. This is a regular council meeting on Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Start with our standard agenda items. 1A is to approve the May 13th, 2026 special and regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. 1B, approval of May 27, 2026 claims for payment. Motion, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion on any of those? If not, those in favor of approving the claims, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Trevor will be a little late. He'll be coming. We are missing Ben Boza tonight. At this time, we have open business from the community, and we have a good turnout tonight. Appreciate everyone coming tonight. Would anyone like to speak at this point? Yes, please do. Would you check to make sure your mic is on there with a green light at the bottom? There's a gray button to push.
Now it is.
Great, thank you.
Do I have to state my name or anything? For the record?
Yes,
Okay.
your name, social security number.
Dawn Hummel. And I apologize, I'm just going to go ahead and write what I have written down so I don't forget anything, or read what I have written down. Dear members of the council, I am writing as a concerned resident who cares deeply about the future and appearance of our community. Small towns are built on pride. Pride in our homes, our neighborhoods, and the image we present to visitors and to future generations. Unfortunately, it has become increasingly difficult to ignore the growing problem of junk accumulation, neglected properties, and visible blight throughout parts of our town. While no community will ever be perfect, there appears to be little consistent enforcement of existing ordinances intended to address these issues. As a result, conditions that would once have been considered unacceptable are slowly becoming normalized. Overflowing yards, abandoned vehicles, scattered debris, and poorly maintained properties affect more than appearances alone. They impact neighboring property values, community morale, public safety, and the overall perception of our town. Many residents work hard to maintain their homes and contribute positively to the community. It can be discouraging when those efforts are undermined by ongoing neglect that seems to go unaddressed. Over time, this sends a message that standards no longer matter and that accountability is optional. This is not about targeting individuals or lacking compassion for people facing hardships. Most residents understand that difficult situations arise. However, ordinances exist for a reason: to protect the health, safety, and livability of the community as a whole. Reasonable enforcement applied fairly and consistently helps preserve the character of the town and demonstrates respect for the people who take pride in where they live. I respectfully ask the council to consider strengthening enforcement efforts, improving follow-through on complaints, and making beautification and property maintenance a higher community priority. Even small steps towards accountability and cleanup can have a meaningful impact and help restore pride in our neighborhoods. We all share responsibility for the future of this town. I hope we can work together to ensure it remains a place where people are proud to call home. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thanks, Dawn. Thank you.
Ryan Sweesaw, 27-year resident of Hawarden, Iowa. When I stood to talk today, I'll be honest with you, I sent a bunch of pictures to the city council today. I don't know if you guys got to look at those. I've been kind of fighting this battle now for probably longer than I care to mention. I'm sure when I drive up to the city offices, Jacob gets PTSD. That's kind of how long we've been battling this. And I'll be honest with you, I came today, I was going to post stuff on social media and put pictures and all that kind of stuff, but that does nothing to the benefit of our city. All it does is belittle what we're doing here in Hawarden. It makes us look bad, and that's not our intention here tonight. Our intention for the people that showed here tonight is to do better. We want to do better, and we think we can do better. And we're here to motivate you guys and to show you that we have support for you guys to want to do better. There's not one person that ran for city council that doesn't want Hawarden to be better, otherwise you wouldn't have run and you wouldn't have done that, and I believe that in my heart. And I believe that everybody that is here tonight just wants Hawarden to be better and to do better, and we can do that. And in going around town, quite honestly, there's about 5 people that are the major offenders that are going on. But we have to fix those first. And if we don't, then we let the others slide by. And so, you know, we're here in support of you. And what you guys are going to do in the future, and hopefully what you'll do in the future, know that you have an army behind you. That it's not just a few people that get you get the grease, the squeaky wheel, because we know you're going to get phone calls. The first time that $250 fine goes out, you're going to get a phone call. That's the way it is. That's part of the position. I've been in your position before, and I know that that happens. And we appreciate you for doing what you're doing and taking those phone calls. But understand, there are people, all of these people are in support of what you're doing. And understand that that's what your job is to do, is to protect the citizens of Hawarden, all of the citizens. So we thank you. We are in support. We hope that changes will be made, and we'll be following those changes to make sure that it's being carried out the way that the ordinances are written. But we appreciate you and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Anyone else? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the mayor's report. I'd like to congratulate everyone who was involved in the Memorial Day service at the cemetery, especially Derek, who led that up. It just was a perfect day. The flags flying in the wind were phenomenal. We had a good speaker, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of volunteers to do that, and just wanted to state my appreciation for everyone involved in that. Good job, Derek.
Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate the graduating seniors, and I would like you to be aware of more walkers, bikes, and scooters that are around town now that school is out. I want to remind you of the scooter regulations. I'm going to read through them just to remind you of some of them. There's no riding of scooters other than to cross the following streets. So these streets are off limits except to cross them. 10th Street, Avenue E, 23rd Street, and the business district other than 9th Street. You are not allowed to ride scooters on the sidewalks in the business district. Riders must obey all traffic laws. Parents, if your child does not know the traffic laws or is not responsible enough to follow them, please do not let them out on the scooters. There's no more than one rider at a time. I see a lot of doubles around town. Keep 2 hands on the handlebars. No speeding, zigzagging, or stunts. No more than 2 scooters side by side. Riders must yield to other pedestrians. Riders must not impede the flow of traffic, and brakes are required on the scooters. Also, you must have headlamps if you're using the scooter between sunset and sunrise. Violations of the ordinance can lead to your scooter being impounded for up to 30 days. The police department is here to help parents educate their children on scooter safety. Please call them with any questions. Let's make sure that we stay safe and have a safe summer. And a reminder that tonight we've got a soccer match at 7 o'clock. It is in the playoffs, the second round of the playoffs. So I hope we can get out and support them. There's also a baseball game at home, I believe, and softball at home also. So I see Katie's shaking her head a little bit. So we've got a lot going on tonight. So let's move on to staff reports. Jacob.
I got nothing outside of our agenda to talk about tonight.
Okay, Travis.
I've got some good news on our property acquisition program, that grant. I met with representatives from the Iowa Department of Homeland Security, and they said there's movement on the federal side, so we could look for that approval in 60 to 90 days. And that would be saying that the grant is approved, the money will be shifted to the state side, and then we can start the process of getting the contractors to test for asbestos and start the demolition. Then we can start the paperwork for acquiring the property. There is a timeline that we have to follow so that we stay within the rules of the grant. One strict guideline is that once the property sale is complete and city takes ownership, we have 90 days to remove that house from the property and make it a green space. So there'll be a process, but kind of hoping this fall we'll be sitting pretty good. So just wanted to update you on the cemetery. We did have a lot of dead grass this spring. I believe it's from the winter kill with no snow cover. We are seeding and fertilizing those areas. So with some nice rain and some time, we should be back to a green cemetery. I know Tim Erickson has done a great job keeping it up and getting control of the dandelions, and now we had the winter grass kill. He's also fighting some moles, but I just want to assure everyone that the cemetery is a priority for us. And the pool will open June 1st.
Okay, that'll make everybody happy. Misty, anything?
Nope, I got nothing.
Okay, Jenny.
Nothing, thank you.
Chief DePriest.
Just a quick update on nuisance abatement. So far this year, we've sent out letters to 77 different properties regarding nuisance violations. This is up from 55 letters, which were sent out as of today's date last year, which is a 40% increase. Starting next week, we're going to start revisiting the properties that we sent letters to check compliance. And if they're past their deadline, we're going to start the formal process on those properties.
Very good. Thank you. Carol.
I'm continuing to work with Travis on the Iowa Economic Development Authority's grant, which will cover our 25% or our 10% and 15% from the state. So we'll be okay on that to get our portion of the buyout program covered. Also working with the USDA on a couple of grants. I'm not sure if we're going to follow through with those. I did speak with them today, so we'll see where that goes. One reminder, we do have grants available to homeowners that want to improve their property. If you would like to paint your house, if you'd like to put on a new roof, if you'd like new windows, air conditioning, furnaces, whatever, we do have grants available to homeowners that will pay for those. And also we have grants available to landlords, which are actually in the form of loans. So if you have properties you'd like to have rehab, please contact my office. I'll forward you on to the appropriate organization and they will assist you. This is real. They will give you money to fix up your house. We're continuing to work on the boat ramp. That meeting will be tomorrow, so we'll go ahead and see how that moves forward. Pretty excited about that grant. That's a 50% cost share grant. And that's about it.
Okay, good information. Thank you, Carol. At this time, we'll move on to council comments. We'll open it up to council.
I just want to say thanks to everybody who came out for Memorial Day. I want to thank the city guys for all the work they did. Putting out those poles is probably the hardest part, and they had it done in under an hour. I couldn't have done it myself, couldn't have done it with the volunteers. Looked great, everything worked out awesome, so I can't thank you guys enough for that. So thank you very much, but thanks for everybody else that came out, who came out to the ceremony. I really appreciate it. It went off really well this year.
Okay, let's move on to a presentation by Williams and Company.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Chase Lotman. I'm a manager with Williams and Company. I've been with Williams and Company for a number of years, but more importantly, auditing the city of Hawarden in various forms, from a staff accountant to engagement manager for 10 or so years. So I feel like we've had a good relationship over those years. This might be my last year, by the way. I don't know. I think me and Jacob were talking about that. But so first of all, I want to thank the city staff on behalf of myself, Liam, and the rest of the audit team to make things go as smoothly as they did. So thank you, Jacob, Travis, Carol, and I know there's some new faces downstairs that I might not have met, but thank you to them too. Yeah, I'm here to present the audit report. I brought 6 copies, so I know some of you have it. There's a PDF out there percolating too, if somebody wants that to follow along right now. But so that's what this is, the audit report in front of you. I'm going to do a real high-level view, not really go through numbers, but kind of explain what the sections are. You can stop me at any time with questions, and if I don't know the answer on a particular amount or anything, I'm more than happy to get back to you. So I guess first of all, what is an audit? An audit is an independent examination of the city's records, accounting processes, and compliance with laws and regulations. Why is it important? As you know, it protects public trust, helps detect errors, hopefully not any fraud, but that's part of the things we look for too. It's required by laws and lenders sometimes, and it supports grants and borrowing, among other important reasons. So table of contents is the first page. It's broken down into about 6 different sections, so I'm going to go through each of those sections, starting with the independent auditor's report on page 2. So this is the most important part of the audit. It's the opinions. As you can see, we have unmodified opinions on all the city records. We do have an adverse opinion on the discreetly presented component unit of the hospital. So the hospital we determined it's a component unit just because of the control over the debt that the council, the city has. So, and their accrual basis, which means they have receivables, payables, fixed assets, that kind of thing. The city, as you guys know, shifted to a cash basis 2 years ago. So instead of asking them to do a bunch of work and you pay for it, or us do a bunch of work and pay for it, we just put an adverse opinion. It doesn't reflect anything on the city's records because everything else is an unmodified opinion. And that's pretty much what it says in the first 2 pages there. The rest of the audit report just kind of talks about responsibilities of us, the auditors, the responsibilities of management. It does emphasize a couple things like the basis of accounting, which is cash basis, as I mentioned. The second main section is starting on page 6 is management discussion and analysis. This is more a plain language section. It highlights major changes. I like it because it is, as you can see as you get into it a little bit deeper, it's comparative, where the financial statements further on are not comparative. They're just the 1 year, so you can kind of see some trends here. So yeah, it talks about the annual report, the basis of accounting, a little bit about how the audit report is set up, what types of funds the city has, and then it goes into some financial analysis for the governmental activities, which would be, your general fund, debt service, road use tax, and then that's on page 8. And then on page 9 would be more of the proprietary enterprise stuff, which would be all the utilities. And then there's some narrative that that Jacob provided, the city provided, that discusses some of those numbers in there. It also talks a little bit about the debt, budget, and some economic highlights coming up. The third major section on page 13 and 14 is the statement of activities. So this categorizes the activity into the functional expenses and programs that the city has, like public safety, public works, culture and rec, community and economic development. So if you're reading across like this, you're going to see this is kind of like what public safety brought in, or what it spent and what it brought in, and then the shortfall here. Because a lot of these functional expenses don't pay for themselves, I mean, you're never going to have enough fines or, rents to cover some of this stuff. Down below here is the general receipts that help make up the shortfall. So that would be the property tax, lost, special assessments, issuance of debt and stuff. And then also here is the enterprise or the proprietary stuff, proprietary funds, money going out, money coming in, and the shortfall or excess, I would say, on the net position. As you can see, the electric utility had a large outflow, I guess, of resources. I think that's based on substation, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that breaks it up into functional expenses. And then if you look at the bottom of page 14, the third line from the bottom, that's the changes in cash basis net position. So the governmental activities is the first column. The cash basis change governmental activities went down 208,000. Business activities in the next column went up 1.5 million, and then when you net them together, it's 1.3 increase in the cash basis position of the city. And that's the 1.3 million is mainly due to the issuance of debt. So then when you look on page 15, a lot of the cash is restricted for certain reasons, and that's kind of the split. Whether it's restricted for like an endowment for the library for those CDs, whether it's restricted for road surface repairs, employee benefits, and so on. Page 16 is where we look at fund level financial statements. So this is useful because some funds are restricted for a specific purpose. So the columns going down are going to be the funds. This page is only the major funds. So we look at the revenues and expenses of each fund, and if either one of them as a percentage of the total is high enough, it becomes a major fund, and if it isn't, it falls off and becomes a non-major fund, which is aggregated into that second to last column. And those numbers in the second to last column, the non-major funds, we'll see later on in the audit report at a schedule and back that actually breaks the funds into their respective numbers. Yeah, page 17 is just a reconciliation because the city has an internal service fund. It's included in governmental funds, and then you'll see the cash basis net position when that's included in the total of the governmental funds will tie to certain pages. Yeah, we got to reconcile it because it's not included on the fund level, but it's included on the statement-wide stuff. So page 18 is the enterprise funds. So this shows the utilities and their activity for the year. Page 19 is the fiduciary funds. So which is pretty much the police retirement fund, which is, I think, if I remember correctly, is because there was a employee that was before 1971 and their spouse is still alive, so still funding that. I don't see that very often. So, and then there's the HSA fund in the second column. The next section of the audit report are the notes to financial statements. There's about 20 notes here. The main one is note 1, which talks about all the significant accounting policies of the city of Hawarden. It talks about the component unit. It talks about any 28E agreements you have. It talks about how you restrict your net position for the funds. It talks about which funds are major. It talks about your budget. So yeah, if you have any questions on that, I can be happy to answer that. More notes, starting on page 24, we talk about your cash and your investments. We talk about your endowment for the CDs. Page 26. This is in-depth of the debt, even though your cash basis and there's no debt on your balance sheet. Well, there is no balance sheet besides the cash balance. We do a deep dive into the debt to list the obligations of the city, and we break it down into direct borrowing with banks, general obligation notes, revenue notes that are going to be paid back with utility revenues and sort of thing. So there's about 3 pages of that in there. Bottom of page 29, we talk about compensated absences. This is fairly new, a new pronouncement from the standards board. Again, cash basis, you don't have liabilities, but this is an estimate of what you would have to pay in vacation and sick time at June 30, 2025. We do a little reconciliation of transfers on the middle of page 30. Page 31, there's quite a few pages about IPERS. Even after doing this for a number of years, IPERS is, it's all actuarial valuation, and I don't know, it's over my head a little bit, but the important number is on page 34. In the middle there, that discount rate of 7%, if it says the city's proportionate share of the net pension liability of the IPERS fund of total is $460,000. So if IPERS was insolvent, that's what you'd have to come up with to pay your share. It's how I'm told that's worked. So page 35, we list the notes receivable. The city has an extensive list of revolved dollars loaned to businesses for economic development. So there's a little note that shows some terms on that. And then on the bottom it shows what the schedule of repayments back to the city should be and the collections thereof. And then the rest of the notes, they're fairly small, or smaller minor notes. Talk about OPEB. We talk about urban renewal development agreements, tax abatements, commitments. There is no commitments. The one commitment was for Avenue L, and that was paid off. Talk a little bit about flood recovery, and changes in accounting principles at the bottom, or on page 39. Page 41 and 42. I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions up to this point? I'm going fairly fast here, so. Okay. Page 41 and 42 is a little bit of the budget information. The third column is your total receipts and expenses. The fourth and fifth columns are the original and the amended budget, and then the last column is the variance from that budget. Page 43 through 46 is some more pension and IPERS information. I'm actually through page 48. We get to page 50 and 51. This is the non-major funds for the governmental funds. So as I mentioned, that one column up front had the aggregate of the non-major. So if you look at the very right of page 51, you'll see the aggregate totals of these non-major governmental funds. Those all tie back to page 14 or whatever it was before. Page 52 is the same non-major for the enterprise funds. We got some fiduciary funds and some internal service funds for on page 53 and 54. Cash basis activity for those. Page 55, this was new this year. So the city was subject to a single audit because of the level of federal expenditures. If you look there, it's 758,000. The threshold was 750,000, so you were just $8,000 over. We tried everything we could to get some of that into another year, but it wasn't working out. So most of that is the money coming in for flood mitigation and cleanup. But any new revolved dollars or unrevolved dollars through economic development, relending, also add to it. So luckily, we just had to test one program. We have to get enough coverage, so we picked the flood money. And we'll get to that in a little bit here. So the next few pages are just some reports. We do a report on internal control. Internal control is whether the city's checks and balances are working. We do have a couple findings. There are some journal entries, which I have a letter at the back that I'll go through at the end here. But yeah, that was the only thing for the audited financial statements was a few journal entries. We did have some findings on the single audit. There might have been some donated services, I believe that weren't paid to the donor, but FEMA reimbursed. You ended up paying the donor, I believe, so everything's good there. And then I think part of the transition of personnel, there were some sign-offs that were missing on some sheets, so that would be the findings on page 62 and 63. So it gives a little bit more detail on what those were. There's no real repercussions to this. They're more procedural and corrective than punitive. So if you have another single audit, you're going to be a high-risk auditee, which I think flood money makes you a high-risk auditee anyway, so there's no change. And plus, you're only being tested for the one program, so we tested anyway. So like I said, there's no repercussions from this. So that I know of. I think the city's had conversations with FEMA too, and I think they were on the same page with that. So, and then to finish off here on page 64, there's a few state compliance items that we have to go through. These aren't really, most of these aren't amounts or stuff, but we have to test, travel expenses or related party. If a council member owns a business, we have to look at those a little bit closer. Whether minutes were approved, we pick a sample of those. Really, I don't remember seeing anything in there that really I should draw your attention to. So, yeah, so that's the audit report. Also at the back here is a letter. It's a required communication from the auditor to governance, which would be the mayor and the members of city council. And it just tells you about the audit process a little bit. And there's an attachment of some journal entries on there. The journal entries are mostly reclass. I think they're almost all reclass, just put it in this bucket instead of this bucket for reporting purposes. So if you have any questions on any of those, I'd be happy to answer those. Yeah, otherwise, that's my presentation. Again, I went through that very high level fairly quickly, but I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Based on this audit, I'm not an accountant. I'm a dumb soldier. If you were to give me a grade, if you were going to give the city a grade, what would you give them?
A grade?
A grade.
As to?
Like, just an overall grade. Like A through F.
A through F.
No pass. He gives us a pass.
70% is passing.
Pass or fail. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there's been great strides, so I want to say that. I'll say a B+.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, you got enough personnel. One of the big things is segregation of duties, so you have enough checks and balances. You know, people, you know, the same person's not accepting cash as the same person that's recording cash, is the same person that's taking cash to the bank. You know, so we've got a good segregation of duties. There's checks and balances. You know, and with all the cities gone through over the last 2 years with flooding and personnel changes, I mean, yeah, B+ is darn good, I'd say, so.
Good deal.
Is there any extra credit we can get? To move it?
Spoken like a teacher.
What can we do?
No, I don't give extra credit, sorry. Another good question, though, so,
Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
you're welcome.
Very helpful.
Thank you so much, Chase,
Thanks,
and
Chase.
your team.
Thanks, Jacob.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is the final reading of ordinance 763, which is amending water rates.
Same that we talked about last meeting. It only affects the irrigation meters, and instead of being charged 6 months at full price, we're going 12 months at half price and just leaving them on and billed monthly.
I'll make a motion to approve the final reading of ordinance 763.
Second? Okay, got a second. Anything further? We'll do a roll call vote. Allen.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Skelling.
Aye.
Warner.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Number 5 is a public hearing for budget amendment. Resolution 2026-15, approval of the fiscal year 26 budget amendment. Jacob?
Yeah, so this is what we talked about last meeting. Nothing's changed, 'cause it's been in the paper. It's all been put in there. And I didn't hear anything from the community at all, so.
Okay. Anything else on that? You want to roll?
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay.
resolution 2026-15.
Second.
Okay. We'll have a roll call vote. Clucky?
Aye.
Skelling?
Aye.
Warner?
Aye.
Allen?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Number 6 is a resolution 2026-16, setting salaries for fiscal year 2027.
Correct. This annual requirement, these will be the salaries set from the negotiations that we had with the union to begin July 1st. Now, they all got their big bump that we did in January, so this just is the 2.5% on top of what we gave them back in January, so.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-16.
Second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Do roll call vote again. Warner?
Aye.
Allen?
Aye.
Clucky?
Aye.
Skelling?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Item 7 is a resolution 2026-17, mortgage release for Robert Batchelder.
Bob received one of the grants that I spoke about for homeowners 3 years ago, when to replace his roof, do some electrical, make some improvements to his home. Unfortunately, the grant runs 5 years. Bob passed away, as we all know, a few months ago. So the remainder of that mortgage was $9,800, which is owed to the city to satisfy that. So when they sold the property, they mailed the check back to us for the remaining balance. And this is simply something we send to the county to release that mortgage obligation to the home so the new owner can take possession.
So moved. Resolution 2026-17.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. We'll do roll call. Clucky?
Aye.
Skelling?
Aye.
Warner?
Aye.
Allen?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Number 8 is Resolution 2026-18, proposing to dispose of real property and set a public hearing.
This resolution is brought to us by the Chamber Economic Development, Inc. division. They are going to purchase another industrial park lot. They've had some great interest and are moving forward. It's very exciting to get these lots moving and sold. Ben did bring up one concern that he wants added to the resolution for the final disposition of the property, which we'll do at the next council meeting. We will be adding, which I did add to their purchase agreement, the purchaser shall have plans for this to be developed and a minimum assessment from the Sioux County Assessor's Office for $150,000, and the plans will be done and developed by December of 2027. That will be added to the resolution. For
He just wanted that time frame put in there. That-
Yes,
yeah.
Ben just wanted that
Yep.
put in there, so that will be added.
Okay, so the proposal is to set the public hearing for June 10th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Would roll call Allen,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Skelling,
Aye.
Warner.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Number 9 is first reading of ordinance 764, amending the zoning regulations.
All right, so we've been talking about this one for probably a while now. These are some changes that we're making about accessory buildings to address some of the changes that the BZA was recommending that we change to allow more things to happen without having to go through them, but also to let people know that as they're relaxing some of the rules on this, that they're going to be tightening up on how much they actually approve for these exceptions that are going through. So it was kind of a balancing act. Right now, everything was going through there, and there was a lot of things getting approved that were questionable of whether, like, what the rules around that. So they wanted to make it more accessible to people, but then tighten the rules on what they're allowing for approval. So the main changes that we have inside this ordinance is that we have inside at the very beginning, it talks about no accessory building shall be in any front or side yard. Left that, but kind of added a stipulation that if it's going to be a detached garage, that it could be flush with the house, because technically that would be in a side yard. And wanted to make sure that that was allowed, but with stipulations that it still has to follow the same setbacks rules, and that it has to have a driveway to the adjacent street there. So another change that I have inside here is a maximum of 2 detached accessory buildings, which is up from 1. But one of them has to not exceed 144 square feet in area, and that kind of just gives them a little bit more freedom to have like one of those garden sheds
Yeah,
without
12 by
having to-
12 shed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 by 12 shed without having to go through a special exception process to have that second shed in the back, because some people have a detached garage, and then they want to put a shed back there, and I'm like, well, you have to go through a special exception process to do that right now. This will help eliminate some of that. So a lot of people that have 2 buildings, one of them is a garden shed, and that will really alleviate some of that. And then, yeah, they'll still be able to do a special exception to do another building or even a second building that's bigger than 144 by going through the special exception process. However, I will remind people that they are probably going to be very strict in what they're actually approving through that process. So. Another change would be the maximum square footage of an accessory building. Currently, it's been listed at 1,000 square feet. As we got together, we came up with 1,200 square feet here, is what I have listed for the new maximum. I left it in there that they can go bigger with that, with a special exception, but again, it might not actually get approved to do that, so. Maximum building height shall be 22 feet to the peak of the roof or equal to the height of the principal building, whichever is lower. That will be changing from 2/3, which was kind of unfair for anybody that had a single-story building. If they wanted to build a detached garage, there'd just be no way to have that be high enough to cover that. So and then 22 feet or equal to the height of the maximum principal building, so you can't have a building that's out there towering above your principal building, so. The other change here is to be constructed of the same roofing material, or same roofing materials. It's going to be the same color instead of the roofing materials now. So that will allow people to be using some of that, like aluminum or steel roofings, but they still need to be matching the color of the primary residence, which was already in our ordinance, but it was color and material before. So now it's just, they just have to match the color for that. So, and then we left everything else the same. The siding still has to be of the same composition as the primary residence. And this is, again, just for buildings that are larger in size. Any of those 144 and under can still be like full steel sheds. So, or different materials. It's included inside that. So we just didn't change any of that. And that is the end of the changes that we have in there for right now. I will also mention that we had discussed adding a change into the special exception process to make sure that we separated those two meetings. And I had told that resident that I would make sure I had included that with this changes that I did. But as I went to go write the changes, I kind of determined that we didn't need to make the change because it's written right now that they set the meeting when they receive the recommendation, that they would then set the public hearing date. So I think that if you look at it like that, then it should have never been on the same day anyway.
They should have just, they need to follow the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that the way that it's written currently is, still says that it should be on two separate dates. So I didn't actually make any changes in there because I thought that it was already written well enough. So for that. That's it for this ordinance change that we brought.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 763.
Second?
I'll second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Clucky,
Aye.
Skelling,
Aye.
Warner,
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Item 10 is a FEMA storm box placement discussion.
I just wanted to get council approval or, just discussion on placement, because it will cost money to move it, and then it has to be on a foundation. So there'll be some concrete involved.
Can you move it, or is it too heavy?
I believe we'd have to get a excavator. It's like 13,000 pounds, so. And then get it moved and set down on a foundation. The initial one would be the north one. It's kind of hidden between some bushes and the new pickleball court. Thinking that it would serve as a shelter for campers on the north side and the south side. And then I kind of looked at the place south, might be a little more easier to get to from campers to the south and campers to the north, but we'll have to put some fill in there to level that spot out. But it's, just wanted your input on, or maybe you don't want to put it in the park at all, or.
Well, it's a great idea to put it in the park. I just say you make the decision where you want to put it, because it's going to be whatever's most feasible to build the ground up and make the cost as minimal as possible.
Then
Got a free shelter, we might as well use it.
That would be on the north,
I do the
North
north one.
section.
That would be my vote.
because it's already level, it's,
Yep.
Correct.
yep.
It's
We'll
kinda
probably,
already-
once we get it there, we'll get it painted too.
It's
and-
already kind of hidden too there. a
Yep,
little bit.
yep, and
I mean,
we
not that it
can,
looks bad, but
we can let everybody that's camping know,
Yeah.
when they check in and pay that,
is there power to this building?
yes, there's lights, that's about it.
Yeah.
And they'd be closer on the north section to get power there, because we have it real close.
Yeah, put it there.
Okay, wait, and we'll probably have a little sidewalk on the north side just coming out to the gravel, and then we'll connect the south side to a sidewalk on the walking path, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good, thanks. We do not have any items on the consent agenda tonight, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. We are adjourned at 6:20. Our next meeting is June 8th, 2026. We thank everyone for attending and watching.
Yes, sorry.